Okay, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good holiday season. I thought I'd do an end of 2023 wrap up video. I want to talk about a few random things. I thought I might give you my 5 best movies of the year and my 5 worst movies of the year. Everyone loves a list, right? So why not? I'll have my own little award show right here. I know it's kind of vapid, and I would have liked to have done a New Year's video with some more substance and humor than this, but I just didn't have the time to put it together, so this is what I settled on. And I'm not going to lie, for me, this was not a good year for movies. It was much harder to come up with 5 movies I liked than 5 movies I disliked. In fact, some of the ones I liked, I didn't even like all that much, but I forced myself to pick 5. And towards the end of the video, I also want to talk about what I'm going to be focusing on in the new year. It's loads of random nonsense. And I'm going to start off with the top 5 best movies of the year. It's worth noting that I have not seen every movie to come out this year, but I have seen a pretty fair amount. Here's a list of the 2023 movies that I have seen. You'll probably notice a couple of big ones are not on there, like Godzilla Minus One, for instance. So this is really just a best and worst movies that I've seen this year, not really a best and worst movies of the whole year, if that makes any sense. And I have seen a lot of the big Oscar favorites like Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Killers of the Flower Moon. All 3 were based on true events. But they don't appear on either of my lists. I didn't think they were the best, and I didn't think they were the worst. They were just kind of okay, in my opinion. And I probably wouldn't rewatch any of them. And that's sort of one of my criteria for what qualifies as a good movie. Will I ever feel like watching this again is a question I always ask myself when I'm done with a movie. And I'm definitely not going to feel like watching Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon again. Good movies, well acted, important historical dramas, but also much, much longer than they needed to be, and they're kind of pretentious. Maybe I'll watch Barbie again, though. I mean, I kind of doubt it, but who knows? Maybe in like 20 years. Anyway, here we go with my 5 best movies of the year, in no particular order or ranking. We'll start off with John Wick Chapter 4. And you could tell I struggled to find 5 really good movies that I saw this year because I didn't really love John Wick Chapter 4. The action is always fun, but to me, it's getting beyond ridiculous. John Wick is basically Superman with a handgun at this point. It doesn't feel like anything can actually kill him. I just didn't really buy it. And when it comes to John Wick, I love the first 2 movies, but 3 and 4 were just a little too silly for me. I can't really explain it. But it was entertaining while I was watching it, so it makes the list. And I don't have much else to say about it. I give it 3 Dick Rocks out of 5. That's right. The Dick Rock rating is back. And up next is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. This movie was way better than I thought it probably should have been. It was a lot of fun and had some good jokes and references, and I don't think you even need to be familiar with Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing games in order to enjoy it, although it probably would help. My only complaint about it is that, like most movies today, it drags on way too long. When the final 20 minutes rolls around, I was ready for it to be over. I feel like editing has taken a hit when it comes to recent Hollywood movies. It feels like everything could have had at least 15 minutes cut out of it. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But it just seems like tons of movies nowadays are very poorly paced and overstuffed. No better example of that than Killers of the Flower Moon, which is 3.5 hours long. And I guarantee you could cut at least an hour out of that movie. And I think almost all of it would have been scenes of Leonardo DiCaprio moving his jaw around in weird ways before finally speaking his lines. Anyway, I give Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves 3.5 Dick Rocks out of 5. And the next one up might surprise some people because it's kind of a weird choice. No Hard Feelings, starring Jennifer Lawrence. It's a comedy. Feels like they don't make a lot of comedies anymore. especially ones that get released in theaters. In fact, this and Barbie are the only 2023 comedies that I can even think of off the top of my head. I mean, I guess there's the Bert Kreischer movie, The Machine. I suppose that is technically a comedy, but I don't know what else to say about it other than that. But I thought No Hard Feelings was pretty decent. It's not outrageously funny, but it's entertaining. And maybe I have a soft spot for it because it takes place on Long Island. Jennifer Lawrence plays a struggling Uber driver who is facing bankruptcy, and she gets hired by the rich parents of an antisocial 19-year-old, and they basically wanted to hang out with him and bring him out of his shell and basically get him laid. It's just kind of a wacky comedy. It's not outstanding by any means, but it's definitely worth checking out. I give it 3 Dick Rocks out of 5. And next up on the list is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I don't have much to say about this one. I did a review on it when it came out, if you're interested. I really liked it. Yeah, and I've been kind of down on Marvel movies and comic book movies in general. But this one was really solid. It's a great way to wrap up things for the Guardians team as we know them. And I believe I gave that one 4 Dick Rocks out of 5. And finally, last but not least, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It was exactly what I expected from a Mission Impossible movie. It's a lot of action, fun characters, stunts where Tom Cruise is literally risking his own life. What more could you ask for? It has a few odd things about it. Like at one point, Ethan Hunt is forced to choose between a woman he just met and a woman he's been working closely with for years. I just thought it was a strange thing for them to set it up like that. Like he knows both of them really well when he only knows one of them. And this is the 7th Mission Impossible movie. It's really strange that there hasn't been any way to counter or detect those lifelike masks that everyone is constantly running around in. I mean, everyone is still being fooled by them. And I actually appreciated that there's a character in the movie who is always touching people's faces to see if they're real. I thought that was a nice touch. And it would be nice if they could at some point address Ethan Hunt's age. I know Tom Cruise is basically ageless, but he's been making Mission Impossible movies since 1996. I mean, think about that. He's coming up on 30 years of this. This dude is old as fuck. I mean, it took Daniel Craig 3 Bond movies, or 2, maybe only 2, before they started addressing his age. I don't know. Just kind of waiting for that to happen with Mission Impossible. Or it's already happened and I just forgot about it. Because let's face it, all these movies kind of bleed into each other and it's kind of a blur. But either way, it was a good movie and I'm looking forward to part 2. And just like Guardians of the Galaxy, I would give this a 4 out of 5. And I have no doubt that if Dune hadn't been delayed until 2024, that would make the top of the list here. I'm really looking forward to that movie. And I think it would blow all these movies out of the water, at least in my opinion. But it got delayed, so what can you do? And now for my 5 worst movies of the year. This was a lot easier to come up with, sort of. I mean, it was easy to come up with 5 bad movies, but it was not easy to narrow it down to 5. But I managed somehow, so here we go. First one up is 65, starring Adam Driver. Believe it or not, I recorded a review for this movie months ago. It was only about 5 minutes long, and I decided not to upload it because it felt like no one had even seen this movie. So I didn't even really see the point. And yet, here I am, months later, reviewing it. Everything I do is a contradiction. In any case, it's a boring movie, bad CGI, 2 insufferable characters, and it's a movie that takes place on Earth 65 million years ago. And Adam Driver's character is an alien from another planet who is transporting a group of people back to his home planet, and they crash land on Earth. And he and this young girl are the only survivors. And they have to contend with dinosaurs and an impending asteroid collision. And there's an inexplicable language barrier between them, which is totally pointless. It serves absolutely no purpose in the movie, and the movie seems to think that it is very interesting. But, in fact, it is not. And the fact that this movie with this premise is as boring and bleak as it is just crazy. How do you make dinosaurs boring? I have no idea, but they managed. For wasted potential, I give it 1.5 Dick Rocks out of 5. And the next one is The Expendables 4. There's still 3 more movies on the list after this, but I think this is without question the worst movie that I saw this year. It's just so terrible. And believe me, I'm not expecting a lot from a 4th Expendables movie. I'm really not. But even with low expectations, this was atrocious. Horrible acting, unfunny jokes, unbelievably bad special effects, just an all-around shit show. And Stallone is not even in the majority of the movie. He appears to have been killed early on, but he shows up later. And while he's gone, Megan Fox is leading the Expendables team. And this was a rough one, man. I don't want to hate on Megan Fox, but I think just about anybody would have been better for that spot than her. It's really rough. Ronda Rousey from the 3rd movie would have been a much better choice. And you can always tell when a movie's going to be terrible if they put the number 4 in the title as though it's one of the letters. I mean, I rest my case. And I would give this movie a 1 out of 5. Just atrocious. And the 3rd movie on the list is Inside, starring Willem Dafoe. What a waste of time this movie was. It centers around an art thief that gets trapped in an apartment by an advanced security system. And if you want to watch a pretentious movie that has absolutely no point or payoff, then this is the movie for you. It's just Willem Dafoe in a rich guy's apartment for an hour and 45 minutes. Absolutely terrible. I give you 1.5 Dick Rocks out of 5. Oh, man. And next up is a movie I've talked about already at length. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. For anyone who's seen my review of this, you know what I'm probably going to say. Just a really disappointing movie. It's not the worst movie on the list. In fact, it's probably the best. It's actually definitely the best. But to me, I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, and because of that, a bad Indiana Jones movie feels worse than it actually is. I'm not going to say much more about it because I've already said a lot in my review, and at some point I'm planning to do a full commentary video for it just to be a completionist and have videos for all the Indiana Jones movies. So if you're interested, you can look forward to that disaster. And I believe I gave this movie a 2 out of 5. And last but not least, or maybe it is the least because it's terrible, The Exorcist Believer. This was a rough one. For some reason, they keep trying to make sequels to The Exorcist. And with the exception of The Exorcist 3, it really doesn't work. I mean, I'd almost say that this is as bad as The Exorcist 2. It's really not good. And it actually started off pretty well. For the first 45 minutes or so, it does a pretty good job of building tension and being creepy. But the second half of the movie is just atrocious. And it has a very down ending. The movie tries to make it seem like it's a borderline happy ending, but it's not. Someone dies, and it just feels kind of terrible. And they also bring back Ellen Bernstein, who was Chris McNeil in the original movie. And I can't figure out why they did it, because she has no impact on anything that happens. It's like she was only in the movie so they could stick her in the trailer and use her as a marketing ploy. Actually, it's not like that. It is that. She's not in the movie very much. And why you would even use her as a marketing ploy, I don't even understand, because no one is going to see an Exorcist movie because of Ellen Bernstein. I know she carries the first movie in a lot of ways. She's the main character. But no one is going to see an Exorcist movie just to see recurring characters, I don't think. And her appearance in the movie is little more than a cameo. Just pointless. And this movie is unique, I guess, because instead of one kid who gets possessed by a demon, there are 2 kids who get possessed by demons. Or maybe it's one demon possessing them both. Who knows? Either way, you could almost hear the vapid Hollywood pitch. Instead of one possession, there's going to be two. Oh, we love it. And this was written and directed by David Gordon Green, who also wrote and directed the most recent Halloween movies. Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. And now he's moved on to The Exorcist. And I think at this point, it's safe to say that this guy should not be involved with iconic horror franchises from the 1970s. I think we've seen enough. I mean, why they keep giving him these movies, I'll never know. And he's making more Exorcist movies. It's going to be a trilogy. It's like executives just look at this guy and say, you know what? One horror movie is not enough for him. We need to give him trilogies. He's earned it. Because he's made movies like Your Highness and The Sitter. I'm roasting this dude a bit, and I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm not saying he doesn't have talent or that he shouldn't be making movies. I'm just saying he shouldn't make horror movies. Or at least not ones that are from iconic, already established franchises. Anyway, there you go. My 5 best and worst of the year. Let me know if there's any movies that I haven't seen that I should see. And before I get out of here, I just want to talk a little bit about what I have planned for 2024. It's basically going to be a lot of what you've already seen. I want to do some more Star Trek videos. In fact, I think that's going to be my focus for the next couple of months as far as the channel goes. I want to do a commentary video for First Contact. And I also want to share some thoughts on Strange New Worlds. And of course, there'll be videos on Next Generation episodes and the original series. And maybe I'll finally do some episodes of Deep Space Nine and Voyager. But we'll see. And I also have some movies in mind. I want to do a video for John Carpenter's The Thing. Hopefully before the winter is out, because I think that movie is best during the colder months. And I also want to do a video on the original RoboCop. I think that would be pretty fun. And a friend of mine suggested the movie Deadfall with Nicolas Cage. I've never actually seen that one, but it looks like an insane Nicolas Cage movie, so I'm definitely going to try to do something with that, hopefully soon. And of course, the Tom and Ed Show will be continuing, so keep an eye out for that. And as always, I'm open to suggestions. I can't guarantee that I'll definitely do something with every suggestion. I'm pretty bad at that, but I will definitely consider it. So please leave a comment. And I want to thank everybody for the support. You guys have been awesome. The channel is up over 700 subs now, which feels like a milestone, but it's less impressive when you consider the fact that I've been doing this for a couple of years now. But regardless, I like to think that my audience is small but loyal, which I very much appreciate. And yeah, that's about all I got for now. I guess I'll see you next year. You get it. Sorry. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope it turns out to be a great one for you and yours. And until next time, take it easy.